Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a musician. I'm putting a lot of musical content out on my YouTube channel, and today I'm here to talk about something totally different. I have become aware of the fact that YouTube and Instagram and other websites and places are full of videos about the condition known as gynecomastia. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about my experience with that condition and the mental and psychological aftermath of surgery that I had. I am 61 years old now, and this condition has been a very, very significant part of my life in a, very negative way. And I think it's appropriate to discuss all the problems that might arrive in the wake of surgery and in the wake of going through your teens with this condition and the feelings surrounding it. I would like to stress that this is my personal experience. This is not something that automatically happens to everybody, and it's also something that you shouldn't see as some kind of horror story that will affect and ruin your life. I think every person is different. A lot of people will react in very different ways, and this is my experience, which has been troubling. And first of all, the emotion or feeling that occurred first was loneliness. I think I was around 13 years old in the year 1977 when I started noticing a small lump just underneath my right nipple. My nipple would start to expand, and I developed a breast, like a female breast, on my right side. The loneliness was just horrible because I grew up in a culture and in an environment where people don't really talk about emotions, and it was not expected that a man or a boy would discuss troubling things about their own body or their own mental health. So the loneliness led to me not talking to anybody, and I lived in a total mental darkness from the age of 13 until I was 19, when my parents realized that something was wrong, and my mother, she was a nurse in hospital and managed to sort of get me in, I think through a back door or something, to get the surgery done. Nobody ever told me that I had anything called gynecomastia. I was just put in there, and the surgery was performed, and I was discharged from hospital the next day. So the word gynecomastia didn't really come into my way of thinking. I didn't know what had happened to me, and I just came out with this total feeling of loneliness and social withdrawal. I flunked every possible physical education lesson from I was in junior high school all the way through high school. In every way, I never went to beaches. I never removed my shirt. I never had anything but very wide shirts and sweaters. I slumped. I did everything I could to hide this breast that I had on my right side. It also led to a great feeling of shame. I was very much ashamed of my own body, and I was very much ashamed of my own reactions to it. The shame led also into, I think, form of body dysmorphia, was where I was extremely self-conscious about how I looked. I could never pass a mirror or a shop window without looking into it and see if I looked like some kind of freak. The shame also led me, of course, never to ever talk to girls and never to approach them in any way. If I fell in love, I would suppress the feelings as much as I possibly could, and I would never trust a compliment from anybody. The feeling of distrust was very strong, and if anybody should say that I looked nice or in any way say something positive, I would not really believe them. I would think that they had an agenda, that they would somehow just bounce back and tell me it wasn't true and laugh in my face and everything. And this feeling of loneliness and shame and body dysmorphia also led me to feel a strong sense of envy and jealousy towards people who seemed to have some kind of self-confidence, who seemed to be not stressed about talking to girls, for instance, not to mention dancing, doing things that teenagers normally do. The envy and jealousy led to anger and also almost a hatred towards people who seem to live up to the beauty standards that society seemed to acknowledge. I would be very, very, very jealous and envious of people who somehow seem to be naturally masculine or even naturally feminine. I would say that this thing really permeated everything that I thought about. The anger and hatred and all these negative things also led to a sense of guilt, because I knew deep in my heart that I didn't really have the right to have such thoughts about other people. It wasn't something that was constructive. It wasn't nice. It wasn't kind. It was in every way a bad thing. So I really didn't trust my own feelings. I didn't in any way, what should I say really, I didn't accept my own feelings, even though they overwhelmed me. And of course, this in the next level was an extreme insecurity about myself, an extreme insecurity about my standing in the world and my position regarding masculinity and quite simply how I should live. So all this insecurity also led to an arrogance as a shield towards other people. I would avoid any kind of cooperative work. And this is not so good, since I'm a musician, as I told you, and I'm a professional musician now. I'm an associate professor of music. I have been performing on large stages for hundreds and thousands of people. I've been playing in different countries all over Europe, and everything on the outside looked as if my life was really a success. Inside and in my head, I was a total failure and very, very, very afraid of rejection. And not only rejection from women or other people, but also in a professional setting. It all bled into my way of life. It made me be very self-destructive concerning alcohol, drug use, cigarette smoking, everything was done to an excess. And as a result of all this, I also developed an anxiety and feelings that I wasn't really good enough for anything. So, as I said, when I was 19, my mother sort of smuggled me into the hospital, and in Norway, of course, healthcare is free, so I didn't have to pay, like I see other people here on YouTube and the internet talk about how they had to pay like tens of thousands of dollars to get this fixed. That was not an issue, luckily, because I would never have been able to afford that at the age of 19, and neither would my parents. So the surgery was performed, and as I said, nobody ever informed me about what this all was all about. I was just thrown in there, cut up. They ripped the gland out of my chest and stitched it all back together. They did a botched up job too, because the scar is ugly. I'm going to show it to you in a little while. And when I went to college to study, I was just discharged from the hospital and sent to the place where I was going to study with a drain and everything in my chest, and not really very well bandaged. So the whole thing burst, and a lot of blood which had been collected inside here just burst out, black, ugly, old blood. And I was so scared, I didn't really know what to do, but I went to the hospital and they sort of taped me up again and sent me out. And nobody ever asked me, how has this experience been for you over the years? How has your life been affected by this experience? How has your teenage years been? So I had to deal with all this myself, and as I said, I come from a culture where people don't really talk about difficult things, so I never, of course, talked to anyone. And I also was in the belief that psychological treatment would be the same as being strapped down to a hospital bed in an asylum and being stigmatized for the rest of my life for such an experience. And I know this sounds maybe totally far out and very, very, very strange and difficult, and I don't know what to say about it really. This is my own personality sort of kicking in. I'm probably an introvert to begin with, so talking about such things was quite unlikely and very, very difficult to do. Now, as I came into the world as an adult and started trying to live my life, this affected my relationships in a very, very negative way. I never ever felt good enough for the girls and women that I dealt with. I never felt that I was really any kind of man, if you will. And that's ridiculous, because I'm 6 feet tall. I'm fairly well proportioned, and when I look at myself in the mirror as a 61-year-old man, I see, well, a fairly well-kept, soon-to-be old man. It's nothing really wrong with me, I must say, and so the image of myself in the mirror was something that I at once just both kind of liked and hated at the same time. And I would never trust, once again, compliments from women or girls. I would always think that something was wrong. They would lie to me. I had this very paranoid feeling of being useless and not really the man that I should have been. The scar that I have never ever really bothered me, because the tit that was there felt a lot worse. So I've sort of lived with that in a pretty decent way, I think. And I also started doing all these things that I've never done, like swimming, exercise, stuff like that, when I was in my early 20s. But this desperate jealousy, envy, self-hatred, and the body dysmorphia has been with me, I think, all the way up till now. Because I realized all of a sudden, now at the age of 61, that there is something called Google, where you can actually go in there and Google. And I remembered all of a sudden that the word Gynecomastia had been written down on a piece of paper that one of the doctors in hospital carried. And I Googled it just a short time back, and I got all these pictures, videos, statements from young men who are just as desperate as I've been. And I thought, well, maybe I should talk about this in some way or other, and let people understand that this is a natural thing. It doesn't mean you're not a man. It doesn't mean you can't be or won't be loved or even desired by girls or women or men, if that's your thing. I think it's very important to talk about this, to be aware of this fact, and also be aware of the fact that surgery alone may not necessarily get this out of your system. And for some people, they can just throw it over their shoulder and they will be fine. And I really, really think that's great. I really think that's a wonderful thing. If you can do that, that's just awesome, and I have total respect. But for some people, like me, this didn't happen. It turned out to be a nightmarish thing that sort of stuck with me for decades longer than necessary. And that's why I advise and urge you to consider, do you need to talk about this? Do you need somebody to listen to your story? Do you need somebody to accept and take into consideration the mental side of this thing? Because it can be devastating, and it can be destructive and really, really mess up things that needn't be messed up. And I will repeat, my life now as a 61-year-old man is pretty good. I have a beautiful wife whom I met when I was 25, but she has been forced to deal with my feelings of insufficiency and insecurity, and it's probably not been all that easy for her all the time. And it also blends into, as I said, my professional life, where I didn't really seek out all the possibilities that I might have sought out. It has affected my relationship to my sons, who I have a good relationship with now, but maybe I could have been more open, more better at talking about difficult things, and sort of and a more emotionally mature person. So then I'll end this on a good note, and I'll show you my scar. It's kind of funny. It stretches from around my nipple and all the way into my armpit almost. It looks like this, and please forgive my pale, untanned skin. It's not so bad. Now you can see it here. It's there, and it goes all the way into here like a line of some sort. And my chest is kind of not so proportionate from the left to the right side, but I'm a 61-year-old man. I couldn't care really less now, and I only have hope that it didn't take me this long. So that's why I'm putting this video out. I hope you have gotten some kind of info from it. It's meant as a positive encouragement to talk about this thing. Don't bury it inside your head as some kind of dark spot that never goes away. It's unnecessary. You don't deserve it. And I wish you, well, a good life. And if you haven't been living the way you want after your surgery, just try to do it. Find someone to talk to. It might be someone significant other, it might be a professional person, somebody who will listen and take it seriously. So yeah, peace out, ladies and gentlemen, and especially gentlemen maybe, and yeah, that's all I would say really. So thank you for your attention if you watched all this way. Right.